Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. As I so often do, I cruise Amazon in the depths of the night like a serial killer looking for his prey. Actually, it's not that serious, but I was cruising Amazon, and I found this still available, readily available, and cheap. It's the Classical Cello Collection featuring Yo-Yo Ma on Sony, and it was like $24 for 15 discs. Now, of course, I have the huge Sony box and this other stuff, but it's remarkable to me. I don't understand major labels. Let's put it this way. I mean, are they really selling so many of these boxes that it makes sense for them to keep it in print while they're deleting so many other things that you might think would be like more popular, like, I don't know, Leonard Bernstein stuff, or I don't know. I don't know. It's still available. It's $24. It was 20, cheap. And the reason I wanted to talk to you about it, this is not the most recent version of it. I mean, I got this a while ago, but the reason I wanted to talk to you about it is because, since it's still available, is because I had just reviewed the Shostakovich cello concertos with Yo-Yo Ma and Andras Nelsons on Deutsche Grammophon, and I noted that, engineering aside, his tone seems to have dried up somewhat over the years. I hadn't heard him in a while, although he's still recording for all these labels, and I just was curious to see if that were true, if there's a difference, because some of you said you'd heard him recently. He sounded beautiful in concert. I have no doubt that he did. I don't trust anyone's recollection of a live concert, as I've said before. It's a whole different kettle of beans. We're talking about the sound on recordings, and all kinds of factors determine what this guy's going to sound like on recordings, which cello he's using, where he's recorded, the acoustics, the engineers, the whole shebangy. So it may or may not be reflective of the current state of his technique, because digitally speaking, his technique is in great shape. He sounds just fine. But this 24 disc thing has all kinds of stuff from his earlier career. And so I thought it might make sense to go through it and just to check it out. And hearing this, I can confirm that I think his earlier timbre was a little bit more winsome than what we're dealing with now. Now, it has to be said, and there will be some evidence here too, that Yo-Yo Ma was always regarded as a cellist of great finesse and beauty of tone, but not tremendous character when it came to how he deployed that tone in the service of the music that he was playing. It was all very lovely. It was all very pretty, but not necessarily the most, let's say, dynamic. He was no Rostropovich. He didn't emote. Misha Maisky, cellos who play with tons of vibrato and ooze all over the music. He was a more refined and restrained personality. I saw him live many times, and I can confirm that that was largely true. So, okay, let's see what we get in here, shall we? You don't get the Shostakovich concerto with Ormady, which is really a shame. It would be nice if you did. But these are original jacket thingies, but I'm just going to go through the booklet here because it makes life easier. First, of course, you have to have the Bach suites for solo cello. All 30 billion of them. I mean, Yo-Yo Ma used to do like all of them at Carnegie Hall. Can you imagine sitting in a 20 some odd 100 room auditorium with a guy with a cello down there, and you're like in the back, and oh God, sheer torture. I wouldn't go. I would never go for something like that. So these are the ones that were recorded in 1995 and 1996 at the New England Conservatory, sort of mostly. And some other places too, actually, around Boston. He recorded the Bach cello suites, 3 times now? 4 times? Endlessly? And they were all very good. But the remakes tended to be more interesting than his first one. This is one of the remakes, so that's good. They had more personality, a little bit more, risk-taking, and so that's fine. Then we have Simply Baroque from 1999. Now, this has arranged for cello and chamber ensemble by Ton Koopman, a bunch of Bach things, and then Boccherini's cello concerto for in G major, G480, with cadenzas by Ton Koopman. So he's trying to be a little periody. a little bit. And another Boccherini cello concerto, the D major, G478. These are beautiful works. And the D major cello concerto actually is a four-movement concerto. It's a big work. Very, very interestingly structured with two rondos. And and he's playing a Baroque cello with Koopman conducting the Amsterdam Baroque Orchestra. And he sounds lovely. He sounds just fine. Then we've got this wonderful Schubert-Trout quintet. This is one of the great ones, absolutely, with Emmanuel Ax, Pamela Frank, Rebecca Young, Yo-Yo Ma, and Edgar Meyer, double bass. It's fantastic. Along with the Arpeggione Sonata with Ma and Ax, which is also great, and the Trout with Barbara Bonney and no Yo-Yo Ma, Emmanuel Ax playing the piano. Then one volume from his Beethoven Complete Piano Sonatas. You get sonata, cello, piano, and cello. Yeah, we got cello sonatas, number 4. That's Opus 102, number 1. And then the 3 variation works that he wrote, which we don't need to go through. And they're very good performances. The Brahms Double Concerto and the Piano Quartet. The Double Concerto is with Isaac Stern, the Chicago Symphony and Claudio Abbado. It's a very good performance. Again, all these things were like good. Were they like thrilling, edge of your seat kind of good, great, thrilling? Well, not usually. And this is not. It isn't. And you get the Piano Quartet number 3 with Ax, Stern, Laredo, and Mann. These are wonderful performances. They really are. Brahms Sonatas for Piano and Cello. It won a Grammy in 1992. Isn't that exciting? So here they are, the 2 cello sonatas with a third arranged from the Violin Sonata in D minor, Opus 108, with Emmanuel Ax. And, Ma was a wonderful chamber music player. He was less successful, I think, in concerto settings, where he didn't necessarily have the bigness of conception to offset what someone really charismatic could do in the orchestra. But here's a very good recording. This was the Dvorak Concerto and the Victor Herbert Concerto number 2, which theoretically inspired Dvorak with the New York Phil and Court Mazur. It was always a lovely record, and it still is. It's held up extremely well. Then the Saint-Saëns and Lalo Concerti. Oh, God. Well, the Saint-Saëns is a masterpiece. Tovey called it an opusculum, the diminutive of opus, an opusculum, a little opus, because it's 18 minutes long. It's just wonderful work. And the Lalo Concerto, it's got such a dysfunctional first movement. The slow movement is adorable. I saw him play this work. It was absolutely adorable. And, there's that lovely tune in the slow movement where, in the high range of the cello, where he would just go, ooh, like this, and purse his lips, and everybody in the audience would giggle. It was kind of weird. And the finale is delightful, but that first movement, oh my God. I mean, lethal version of sonata form. It's just awful. Sorry, but it is. Paris, La Belle Époque. So this you have the Meditation from Thais, arranged for cello. The Fauré Violin Sonata number 1, arranged for cello. Saint-Saëns Havanaise, arranged for cello. The Franck Violin Sonata, arranged for cello, with Catherine Stott at the piano. I mean, it's all very well done, but none of it's really for cello. I mean, if you are interested in the Belle Époque of music not written for the cello, then that's for you. Then we have, the Strauss, Don Quixote, and Schoenberg Cello Concerto with Boston Symphony and Ozawa. I really like the Schoenberg. The Strauss is just good. It's not the most compelling Strauss out there. I mean, there are people who are better at the orchestral accompaniment, like Kempe and Karajan. And then there are other cellists, Tortelier and all these other people who did it. I mean, he plays the cello part well, but the Schoenberg is crazy. What a nut piece that is. It's freely adapted from the Harpsichord Concerto in D major by Matthias Georg Mann, as we all know. And boy, is it weird. Oh, it's so much fun. Then we've got the Elgar and Walton Cello Concertos with the London Symphony and Andre Previn. A very, very good disc. It won a Grammy in 1985 for Best Classical Performance. And despite having won a Grammy, it really is a very good disc. The Prokofiev Sinfonia Concertante and Tchaikovsky Rococo Variations. It also won a Grammy. This one is with, the Pittsburgh Symphony and Lauren Mazel. There are many better performances of the Prokofiev, in my humble opinion. And not just Rostropovich. But It's tolerable. The Tchaikovsky Rococo variations bore me to tears, and most of you too. I think we've all agreed. And then there's some other little hoogie here. What is it? Oh, the Andante Cantabile for cello and string orchestra, which is arranged for the string quartet number 1. Then we've got the Barber and Britten cello concertos. The Barber is a very good performance. This is with the Baltimore Symphony and Zinman. The Britten, no. The Britten is not a very pleasant work. It really isn't. It's very gnarly, and it's full of, especially in the opening movement, like grindy, low bassoon things. And this performance strikes me as rather colorless. I mean, if you're going to grind, for heaven's sake, Don't gild the lily. Anyway, I've never particularly liked the Britten, but I like great performances of the Britten, as, for example, the premiere with Rostropovich and some other people. But this one, no, it never did it for me. But the Barber's quite good. And then there's the New York album, Stephen Albert's Cello Concerto, which is a lovely work, a terrific work. The Bartók Viola Concerto, arranged for cello. Well, that doesn't work at all because it doesn't work as a viola concerto to begin with. So it's sure not going to work for cello. And then Bloch's Shlomo with the Baltimore Symphony and Zinman. Well, that's very good. That's very well done. So that's it. That's the classical cello collection. And there's a lot of really good stuff in here. It's a nice overview, survey of Yo-Yo Ma's work in the classical field. Remember, he did all that crossover stuff with Edgar Meyer and whatnot, Appalachian Waltz and things like that. And, he sounded better here than he does now. I really think that's true. And I think, we'll check out some other stuff too and report back and see where we wind up. But keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.